And let the Monday morning ruckus begin. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and I'm a bit late this morning, but we're going to get things rolling for things you might not have heard for today, Monday, November the 14th, 2022. Now let's see how that works out. I need to make sure to be paused a little bit more. That's a good thing we had that little hiccup today. As I said a moment ago, but you may have missed, I am Jay Cleveland Payne. Let the Monday morning ruckus begin. That is things you might not have heard for Monday. Today happens to be November 14th. 2022. Thank you for being along for the ride with us. Anytime you're with us, whether you're watching this live at 5:53 a.m., sorry, I'm a little late. Also, if you're watching this as a replay or listening via the podcast version and replay as well, thank you for being along for what's going to happen. When a mere moment, you'll have 10 news stories from the past weekend that may not be, in fact, most of them are not big-time headlines, although some of them are big-time headlines, if you will. A lot of things that have not been put out there on the mainstream media as a big shows because they're dealing with other things. But these are some of the more interesting things that you can start off your coffee chats, your tea chats, your donut chats, your chats on the bus, your water cooler chats to start your day off. We provide for you these stories as a tertiary news source. So we're not supposed to be the big stuff. We call ourselves your news side piece for a reason. We give you some of the other things out there that the mainstream ain't giving you. And we hope you enjoy it. We know you enjoy it because you keep coming back. Stop by our main website, which is conversationproject.com for more details on all the stuff about us. Let's get into the dealio because we've got 10 stories to get into. I'm going to try to keep this thing under 20 minutes. Here we go with story number one. And these are in no particular order of topic. We'll explain how we got these before, but these are basically randomish orders of some of the top stories for the morning of the weekend. That sort of got stumbled. But this is a top story all over places. People are talking about this one all over. Now, we talked about this in our show last night, how Dave Chappelle being named as Saturday Night Live guest wasn't such a big deal until it started becoming a big deal. And then he actually spoke words and it became a bigger deal. Dave Chappelle delivers controversial SNL monologue with jokes about Jewish community and Kanye West. Also some digs at Kyrie Irving as well, and just Hollywood in general. And they were sort of your standard Jewish jokes, if you will. But in the climate now where there's a lot of anti-Semitism, a lot of people just doing standard Jewish hate stuff right now, standard Jewish jokes don't quite roll off as well as it should. Now, this is one that I'm a bit conflicted on because I'm a big fan of Dave Chappelle. And Dave Chappelle to say anything he wants to in his commentary because he is a comedian. He's also a human and he makes things come out in a way that make you think. But he also has been doing some pretty dirty dealing things that I don't think are all that nice in reality. The housing thing he has as a community is one thing, and how he's managing some things. And, being Kanye's friend during a lot of this Kanye crazy stuff, basically Kanye washing him going forward. I didn't see the full monologue live. I saw plenty of clips of it, so it's kind of in the contrast of there. But they tell the same story. The jokes are kind of there. I'm sure in succession it would have been funnier. And if this were a comedy club in a different sort of atmosphere where it wasn't meant for the nation, it probably would have came off funnier. But it happened. It's going to be a thing. And we'll be talking about Dave Chappelle and his monologue for a few more days, I'm sure. Let's go on to Leah Remini, who wants the LAPD to investigate ties between Scientology and officer who helped Les Moonves. This is not the real story that really got interesting. The biggest thing is the fact that the LAPD is now going to look into the disappearance of the wife of the leader of Scientology, who Leah Remini says she talked to about a decade ago and hasn't seen since. No one's heard or seen of her in a decade, so maybe someone should check that out. But part of that investigation came about with a officer in the LAPD that was given a pretty big check, a pretty big donation by the Church of Scientology for some offside work. And that's where this came from. This, like I said, the bigger story, I think, is looking for David Miscavige's wife. But this is a story that you guys picked as conversational. So this is the one we have as a headline. You can look at this and go deeper into this one if you are into this. I'm a weird Scientology nut that I like to know all the conspiracy stuffs around there. I, have tried to read Dianetics about 14 times and got about 3 pages in and gave up. And then learned about all the space aliens and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is something. But this is something that, when I don't know much about something, I want to know more about it. And every time Scientology pops up, I just can't stay away from it. COVID-19 case numbers exploding across Australia as fourth wave takes off. We're not talking much about waves of COVID here in the United States because we just, kind of bury things under the rug a lot. But right now, our friends down under in Australia are dealing with a massive case of COVID-19 because it's not gone away yet. And it's never going away, which is the thing we have to kind of deal with. COVID-19 is not going away. It's like a something we're going to have forever. So don't try to think it's not, because it is. COVID-19 is a thing. COVID-19 will continue to make people sick, make people really ill, and of course, kill people or be the cause of death for many people. In Australia, they are locking things down essentially. So dealing with real issues with a fourth full wave of COVID-19 popping up. But what we're seeing in the meantime here in the States is kind of, denial, to be honest. We're going to see how things roll around through the summer, through the wintertime, as we come around with the new variants and new vaccines and people whether to get their flu shots and their COVID-19 shots. I've got my flu shot. I can't get a booster for COVID because I actually got COVID late in the game, late in the summer. So I'm not really eligible for a few months. As soon as that happens, I'm doing that because it was a mild case of COVID-19, but it was still a pretty annoying case of COVID-19. So that's one reason to make sure you're vaccinated as well. Controversy over Jeff Saturday, who was named the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts earlier this week, plucked from the realms of television commentary, and no one was plucked from any realms of coaching, which a lot of people were not very happy with. But he was able to swap out quarterbacks and able to get in a win for the Colts this Saturday. Or Sunday, actually, for the weekend. We can talk about this offline because this is a pretty big story about the hiring issues that we have across the sports world. This guy was fairly good coach, but literally doing TV and commentary because he got out of bounds of a job, and he was the one pulled last minute to make a coaching change for the Colts, and not an assistant coach, not another coach that are out there in the league doing things, someone who was watching TV and watching games. We shall see how that plays out in the league. Oh, by the way, I'm waiting to see one more game tonight to see if I win my fantasy football league and get back into fourth place, back in contention for the playoffs. That's all, it's more me than you, but all I care about. What does Donald Trump care about? Mostly himself, and that's why the Truth Social founders scrambled to keep Trump from defecting from troubled app. Truth Social is an app that was created to appease the people who were getting kicked off of Twitter, who wanted to back and forth about the Trumpy stuff. And when Trump got kicked off of Twitter, it was a place for him to go and talk about the Trumpy stuff. Guess what? Twitter is in shambles because of all sorts of weirdness, and they're letting people back in. And the chances are Donald Trump is coming back very soon. Will he stop Truth Socialing? If that's what they call it? The Truth Social people, who have basically a shambles of a company as it is, want to keep Trump around because he's the only reason why people follow Truth Social, and literally the only reason why anyone cares, because they're watching to see what Donald Trump truths or socials or whatever they call it over there. Trump probably is going to jump for the greener pastures of Twitter, which has a bit more stability, even if it's not too stable right now. But the folks behind the founding of the app, basically made for him, want to keep him there, and that may be a problem, whereas the app has its own problems to deal with. Democrat Mark Kelly wins re-election in the Arizona Senate race, beating Republican Blake Masters. This is big because it takes forever for Arizona to count their votes, but it's really big because this means the Democrats have 50 seats officially in the race for the Senate in Washington. Now, there are, I believe, 2 still out there, at least one. We know, I know off the top of my head, the Georgia Senate race is one that they'd like to get because that would be linked up in there. But I don't think it's 49. Actually, it is. I think it's 49-50 right now. So one more seat makes it official for the Democrats that they have that majority. A seat going to Herschel Walker and the Republicans means that the tiebreaker is Kamala Harris for 2 years. So you have that. But essentially 50% plus 1 with the tiebreaker makes it that case. We'll see how that plays out in the next coming years, if anything gets done, which chances are not. LGBTQ scene in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever cut for Kuwait. Now, there's 2 stories in this thing. One, we always know that various movies don't make it overseas, and various cuts are made to take things out. That as long as it doesn't weird out the actual sequences, or sometimes they put in some deleted scenes to make things up going forward. In Kuwait, there's about a minute and 20 seconds less movie than everywhere else right now. One of those scenes cut is the lesbian scene, which is literally one lady kisses a lady on the head for about 10 seconds. And then even 10 seconds, it just sort of happens in the movie. There's scenes where people holding hands don't happen, other things like that you cut out because it has those things in it. Now, here's the weird thing about it. Most of the other Middle Eastern countries didn't seem to care. So Kuwait is the only country in the Middle East that is cutting these things all out of the movie for their reasons. Saudi Arabia didn't care about it. Other places didn't care about it as well. Now, we do hear that this movie and Black Adam may not find their way to China because of a whole lot of stuff. And a lot of it is sort of, fascism and might and right and stuff like that. So there's some underlying tones in those stories that China may not want its people to see. Here in Kuwait, the only thing not being seen is essentially the kiss on the forehead by a woman to a woman. And it's literally and there's more innuendo earlier in the film for that actual overt act. I saw the film, so I think it's pretty cool. I would give it an 8 out of 10. This is a film that needed to exist. It wraps up some storylines, and it also ends, I guess, this phase and does some quick introductions for some characters that need to be introduced, and also brings in some folks that are sort of a waste of the movie. About 15 minutes of wasted movie on some characters that supposedly advance the storyline, but don't exactly. Disney plans layoffs, spending cuts, and hiring freeze. CEO Bob Chapek tells staff, get ready for more of the hurt, more of the pain, more of the loss going on, because even in a time where there's not enough workers to fill in jobs, there are jobs being cut because some places can't make the money. Disney, many entertainment companies are in this issue. Many media companies are in this state where the money is not coming in, and to make the numbers work, you lay people off, sometimes for temporary parts, sometimes for a long, long time. Layoffs coming to Disney and all of its features fairly soon. Look out for that in the news, in the business news, where it's going to be really kind of focused on, but what may not happen entertainment-wise because those layoffs. Jane Fonda has an interview, and we thought it was interesting. She talks about turning 85 years old and giving young people hope for the future. Jane Fonda, that old broad, is still kicking it, doing great stuff. A little too much work, I would say, but she wears it fairly well, if you will. Jane Fonda has had a very illustrious, very extravagant, very long, and some very controversial career in times. Some of us of certain ages don't remember the past stuff well enough, and some of us of a very young age, millennial Gen Z folks, don't even remember a lot of the stuff. I mean, going back to me, Jane Fonda, the earliest sort of written time memories is, of course, the Jane Fonda workout tapes. If you remember workout tapes and leg warmers and stuff like that. But, going back further, there's Hanoi Jane and all those things like that, for her being a long time activist and protester or stuff. She talks about turning as she gets older, and how young people can actually see things in the future. Of course, also married to Ted Turner for a while. That was a hoot on that end as well. Much love. Jane Fonda, getting it done. 2 planes collide and crash during World War II air show in Dallas. Now, we had actually a lot of really bad things happen over the weekend, and those will be, we can cover them in, as you see in the feeds and things going on. But this is one that they're working on right now. Yesterday, 2 planes collided Saturday, 2 planes collided in a crash at an air show in Dallas. 2 World War II vintage planes with many people on them, just in a freak accident, colliding in the middle of the air show. Click the link to see more details for the story, because it does get really bad. Pretty much everyone involved is gone in this one, and they're trying to figure out what exactly went wrong in the case. Clear day, beautiful skies, not much going on. Just 2 planes just could not stay out of each other's way, and now we are dealing with this as a tragedy. So it's one of those things, and we mourn the loss of the people involved in this one, and are waiting for further details from this investigation. Let's get in the teasing mode right now. This is a story that we could talk about tomorrow morning if you deem this one talkable. Keanu Reeves praised for the way he takes pictures with people. Now, we picked this teaser story because the next couple hours we're loading up a whole lot of just bad stuff. I'm gonna just be honest with you; it's not very nice. Yeah, it's not very nice. So we're gonna try to put something nice out there to the universe to get things started. Keanu Reeves takes pictures with basically anybody with a camera that walks past him. That's it. Keanu Reeves is essentially the nicest guy in Hollywood, and this is more proof of it. If you want to talk this one up, it's very simple. Go to the website, this is a conversationproject.com, and find us our feeds, or go directly to the feeds. They're right there below us. Facebook.com/this is a conversation project, and Twitter.com/th_conversation. Yes, I know that the young ones don't go there, but show the young ones what's going on. Go to those feeds, and as we post news stories every 50 minutes or so, like them, love them, hate them, share them. The more you engage in a story, the better chance the story gets a chance to be on the air quotes here. Now, how do we get to today's stories? We picked 10 stories for today based on your engagement over the weekend, starting at midnight Friday all the way to 5 a.m. this morning. And we took those stories, we pulled them out of the information, the metadata from Twitter and Facebook, put them in a spreadsheet that gave them a true score, if you will, one score to go with, sorted them from top to bottom. And we took the top 30 stories over about 89 stories for the weekend. And then from those 30 stories, we pulled out 10 that were conversational and not quite as icky, because there were some icky ones in the process. It just was. So we're sorry for that. But we gave you the best ones we could. Hopefully you'll like more like these or whatever. But we're going to talk about what you want to talk about. So go to the feeds and you tell us what stories are relevant, what stories are in, what stories to go to, because that is how it works for us. We also need to talk about sponsorships. And today we have a brand new sponsor to our situation. Not new sponsors for what I've been using. I've been having Flowers Fast as a sponsor for quite some time, but new to the Conversation Project and new to the feed here in the video. So check it out at thisisaconversationproject.com/flowersfast. This is a conversationproject.com/flowersfast. And it's pretty simple. It's a way to get flowers sent fast, sometimes the same day if you send them up or out. They are a top FTT top 100 member. They have access to all the flowers that you have around the world via FTD. So if you want to get your flowers fast and fairly economical, if you will, check them out at Flowers Fast. Our website, our affiliate link gives us a little kickback for what you do at thisisaconversationproject.com/flowersfast. Check them out. And if you think you've forgotten to get that gift, we may help you out with Flowers Fast. Flowers Fast could be a lifesaver in those cases. Let's talk about us again. Me again. The Conversation Project. This is a conversationproject.com is the website for the Conversation Project. And if you go there, you will find many things there. You'll find links to past episodes, either in the video form or the podcast form. You'll find links to past newsletters, if you will. So we do a newsletter that published right about now, as I'm saying this live, about 6:10, with the links and the links to the videos and links to the stories you can get in email form. We have links to other programs we have going on, including the weekly wrap up, which is sort of sucked into this thing as well, and other things we're working on, including the You're Welcome podcast, which is me saying the things that you wish you could say out loud, only I say them and I take the brunt of them. Much like Dave Chappelle, as he says things that many people wish they could say out loud, but they shouldn't anyway. This is a Conversation Project, has links to all of our projects and all of our links, including Facebook, including YouTube, including LinkedIn, including TikTok, which we need to do more TikToks, but I just don't quite get it. Check us out at Check us out at thisisaconversationproject.com. Let's do the today things for today. And starting off with the birthdays from number 14th, Charles III, formerly Prince Charles, now Charles III, 74 years old on the day, the current King of England as of just this year, with the passing of Queen Elizabeth, having his first birthday in the palace, probably spinning a crown around his finger saying, "Yo, Camilla, we got this." Happening today, 74 years old on the day. The King of Rock, if you will, Reverend Run from Run DMC, 58 years old today. Didn't think I would get that one in there, did you? And a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk is 47 years old today. A very controversial person, not so much how famous he is, But as we're seeing a lot of the weirdness with the influencers bouncing back, especially over the week with FTX and the crash of that market, and all the people who pushed the weird fake crypto stuff, and finding out that Larry David in his commercial saying no, this thing might not work, was actually right. We'll see what Gary Vaynerchuk will get in on the day. One of the most can't say the word, prolific influencers out there, basically telling people at one time to work yourself to death, then saying no, don't actually work yourself to death, then saying, well, maybe you should work yourself to death. He's the man that hustle culture is basically built off of. He's Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's 47 on the day. Happy Pickle Day to you all. Today, celebrate pickles. Eat some pickles. Talk about pickles. Send people emojis on pickles. No, don't send people emojis on pickles. But today is Pickle Day. We're going to celebrate that, and we're probably going to celebrate that. I already got a text from our local chain of fried chicken places who does great fried pickles, that they have fried pickles off today. I think Sonic still has their pickle things going on. We're going to pickle something today. Now, let's talk about one more thing. One fact you go out the door with. One more thing you might not have heard includes this. What seems to be the most common problem in our relationships, something we can all relate to: nagging. More than half of us consider nagging a problem, according to a survey that done by Yotango, the website feed that we get a lot of news from, actually. So why are we nagging each other so much? The number one reason men nag is because it's a habit. They just nag. The number one reason for women is simple. He won't respond unless you ask him multiple times, which is also a nag. So your nagging is not so much your nagging is natural. Let's say that nagging is kind of natural. We all do it. We should do it less. We should be more kind and be less naggy. Well, that's just not going to change. We all know that. Today is November the 14th, 2022. As I say these final words in this recording, maybe you watch this later on down the line, and we thank you for that. Whether this was live feed for you, whether this was a replay video, or the podcast, the audio version, less face, more voice. Thank you so much for joining us for things you might have heard for this Monday. Great, grand, amazing plans for this week, because we're taking next week off. Next week, there's a lot of things happening, and it's also Thanksgiving. So we're going to take next week off. So we're going to do a lot in this week to kind of make up for it. Double the mistakes, double the screw ups, so we can get all the quota in for the month. Now, we're going to do a couple things and do some experimental things that we're just going to kind of do. So we're looking for your responses to them. Let me know, let somebody know what you think about it. Reply to any story that you liked, or if you don't think we took the right stories, or respond with stories that you think we missed out here. And just be the general you. Stay hydrated, stay limber, and stay on task. We'll probably do some sort of video clips, some tape stuff, like commentary the next week. But we got a lot of things popping up all day, all week, and some dislocation of people going to various spots where we're not sure about internet coverage. We're not sure about timelines. We're not sure about lodging, if you will. So we're going to just let this thing be this thing for this week. And now we've gone over time, so we're going to let this thing be this thing for today. I'm going to give a little extra pause for effect at the end to thank you very much, so that we can actually make sure the thing cuts off properly. Now I'm seeing that it took extra seconds to actually get the things rolling. So thanks so much for joining us for today. Let's do this again on tomorrow.